When I first went to Swami in the year 1970, my parents called me by nickname Romi. Swami called me by that name. Emi Romi, Emi Kavali. I was so stunned. I went with absolutely no faith at all. How does he know my nickname? I was so stunned. Immediately he materialized holy ash and gave it to me and told me, run away from bad company. I was in the college, I was smoking, I was gambling, I was chewing jarda pan, having alcohol. With all these bad habits, Swami came and said, run away from bad company. In a mango basket, if one mango is spoiled, rotten, all mangoes will be spoiled. Therefore, go away. And from that time, I tried my best to give up one habit after the other habit. First, I'll tell you how I given up my smoking habit. The moment I became Sevadal member, my friend told me, at least you have to give up one. Drinking, alcohol, I gave it up immediately. But smoking, I used to smoke about 4 packets a day. It is terrible. Once we have a bad habit, it's very difficult to get away. Whenever I used to go to Seva, we all know in the 1970s, Swami used to call us group interviews. In those years, whenever we go for Seva, all the Sevadal members used to be called for interviews. I knew very well, I went to Vrindavan, I know that Swami is going to call for a group interview. I was just waiting for the call from Mr. Ramana Rao to tell us to get into the interview room. I was very young, like Siddharth, and the moment he said, go in, I dashed to the interview room and saw the Swami's chair. I wanted to sit near Swami's chair, as close as possible. I ran and sat near the Swami's chair. In the meanwhile, more boys started coming. And Swami said, come closer, come closer, come closer, come closer. As we are moving forward, believe it or not, Swami's lotus feet was on my thigh. Because so packed room. In Vrindavan, the interview room is so small. We are so many. I was in the cloud number 9. I was so happy, pressing. And as the interview is going on, suddenly I noticed my cigarette packet in the pocket was touching Swami's feet. And you could imagine how terrible it is. I was just shaking. My legs started shaking. And in the process, even Swami's leg also started shaking. I was praying. I was more afraid of my leader, Ramana Rao, and it's not like our Savan sir. He is very kind. He doesn't pull away the scarf. There, Ramana Rao used to be very, very strict. He used to just pick up our scarf and throw us away. I was praying, Swami, I will stop smoking. Please, let him not come to know that I am a smoker. Otherwise, I will lose my membership. I don't want to lose my Sevadal membership. I was praying. Swami is so kind, so loving, so wonderful. He looked at the other boy who was sitting next to me. He was telling him, hey, why do you smoke? It's so bad. And all that. That boy got shivering. He was also afraid of Ramana Rao. He said, where? You will be removed. He said, no, Swami, I am not a smoker, I am not smoking. No, you are a very good boy. And later, Swami materialized him Vibhuti and gave him also to satisfy him. And then the whole interview was on these bad habits. The moment I came out of the interview room, I dashed off to the outside Vrindavan gate, threw away the cigarette packet, and again, these bad habits are so bad. After 1 month or so, I started smoking again. Still, Swami is like 1,000 mothers. But one good thing I did was, I used to keep attending all seva activities. Irrespective of my bad habits, I used to keep praying Swami, I'm unable to give it up now. I've become a slave for this. I'm unable to do it. And sometimes I used to weep before Swami. Swami, please help me to give up this deadly habit. I somehow got into the college time, all these habits. I used to weep and pray Swami. And that kept me very close to Swami, at least to my Sevadal membership. Next function, I was going to Purnachandra. It's for a Shivaratri festival. I was given a duty at the end of the Purnachandra hall, last row, controlling the crowd there. And Swami on the stage, in the morning function, he generally does the Abhisheka for Shirdi Sai, and then out of an empty vessel, he churns out the holy ash. Then I was thinking from the behind, Swami, you are doing all these public miracles. Why don't you show me one personal miracle so that I'll have my better faith. My faith in you would increase more and more. I was praying this monkey prayer, and then the morning session was over. We came out, then Mr. Ramana Rao walked towards us and said, tomorrow morning, next day morning, Swami wants to distribute Chakkar Pongal, Prasadam, after the Shivratri morning bhajans. There are no cups available. In those days, Puttaparthi was a small town. It doesn't have any marketing, this thing. He said, go to Anantapur or Dharmavaram, buy about 12,000 paper cups, Donnelu we call it. Buy those and bring it by evening so that Swami would distribute this prasadam in those cups. Then both myself and my friend were very happy because both of us are very good smokers. We thought Swami has given us 4 hours wonderful time to go all the way to Anantapur and come back. And we started off smoking continuously. We got all the 12,000 leafy cups, not in the Dharmavaram, we got it in Anantapur. We nicely tied it up on the bus, RTC bus, 9 full bags, and we were coming towards for Shivul. In those days, it was the last Lingodbhavam in the 1974 or so. Later on, Swami gave a big gap. All were getting ready for the Lingodbhavam, and we were also in the bus. Those days, the bus frequency was so less. It was the last bus. We packed everything. We were all coming. And at Dharmavaram, the driver and the conductor got down to have their tea. Generally, Dharmavaram has a stop. They also pick up some of the passengers. Those days, the Dharmavaram bus stand was on the main road. They got down. We also got down because the bus was so full, we couldn't smoke in the bus. Therefore, we got down from the bus. We lit the cigarette. I just looked at the top of the bus. I couldn't even talk for about 5 minutes. Not a single bag is there. The whole thing was empty on the top. We see stars in the comic, and I couldn't think anything, because how to tell Mr. Ramana Rao? More than that, how to face Swami? How will Swami distribute prasadam? In the meanwhile, the conductor said, either you get down, because other passengers I cannot stop the bus for a long time. We have to go for Lingodbhavam. And as he was able to get down, I prayed Swami, I do not want any more miracles. I do not want any more cigarettes. Please help me out of this situation. More than anything else, Swami, how will you serve prasadam tomorrow morning? We don't have even enough money. Those were students at those time to go back to Anantapur and buy and bring back. Neither we have resources, neither we have time. Swami, we have been praying and praying. Believe it or not, empty truck comes. We are just standing there. He scolds us, Buddhi Leda, Ajagrata, and then he picked up all the 9 bags, gunny bags, and then he went up the bus, because we are not in a position to even climb the bus and retie. He tied up all the 9 bags, and we reached Prashanti Nilayam just at the time of Lingodbhavam. And that time, I threw away the cigarette packet permanently, because Swami gave us such a lovely practical lesson. Once we say something, we got to pray Swami, take his help to give up our so many habits we have, bad habits. We got to become a perfect Sevadal member as much as possible, for sake of Swami, for sake of this life. Because this life will never come again and again. Even Swami told us number of times, we may get anything, but not this life. We have to achieve the so-called nirvana, the so-called liberation, the so-called oneness in this life itself. For that, these obstacles of these small bad habits, we have to give up. Next, in those days, Swami used to eat pan. Somebody told me, Mr. Romel, you can control the cigarette habit by chewing jarda, pan, ordinary pan. Then I started it. Swami was having ordinary pan, while I started putting jarda, tobacco, Shivaji Kashmiri, Baba Kashmiri, and those tobacco I used to chew every time. And pan became a deadly habit. I gave up cigarettes, but I got into another bad habit. And then again, I prayed Swami. Whenever we are in any problems, the best master we have is to weep and cry and seek his help. I went to Prashantilam for seva. I said, Swami, unless I give up my pan habit, I will not leave Prashantilam. All my batchmates, all the people who came for the seva, they all left after birthday. Every day I used to book my bus ticket, cancel it, because I used to again restart the habit, one after one. And first day, every time in those days, we used to lose 25% of the bus fare. Today I book a ticket. I thinking that I'll leave the Prashantilam after giving up this pan habit. But again, after lunch, my legs used to pull me to the pan shop. I used to buy a pan and then go to the bus stand, cancel my ticket. In this way, I used to lose every day 25%. And final day, I had only 140, just 42 rupees for my ticket back to Hyderabad. Then I prayed to Swami. Swami, now I have no more money. I cannot beg. I am unable to give it up. Please help me. Then I was working in the canteen, South Indian canteen. I went there, and then there was a big cyclone there. Swami asked all the Sevadal to load in Guntur area. About 10,000 people died on the cyclone on the 1977. And Swami sent away all his kitchen utensils to those areas to start Narayan Seva there. And I was loading those heavy utensils. I did not see there was a starch or water on the ground, and I slipped, and I could see the stars. I fainted, and I broke my left hip. I fell down. And then in those days, the bhajan was at 11 o'clock in the morning. Kasturi sir came, Professor Kasturi came running. He sprinkled water, gave coffee. Then they got a stretcher, and I was carried directly to the veranda on the stretcher. Bhajan was going on. Swami is so kind. He came out of the bhajan hall and scolded me and said, Ajagrata, carelessness. Then he told me another thing. If you are in any other place on this particular day, other than Puttaparthi, you would have broken into two pieces like a cucumber. You would have broken into two separate pieces. I saved you. I kept you here for additional days just to save you. And they asked me to taken away to Hyderabad. They put the bandage from my stomach to my legs. I cannot turn right side. I cannot turn left side. I cannot even sit. In that, because it's a pelvic fracture, in those days the treatment was not as advanced as now. And for 3 months, the doctors told me that I have to lie in the same position, in the straight position. Can anyone eat jarda pan in that position? It's just, because you got to spit it out, We got to spit out because it's tobacco. And for 3 months, I was given this wonderful opportunity. Then I was thinking, Swami, I used to attend those hospital service. Every Sunday I used to go to Usmania Hospital, General Hospital, and give Vibhuti Prasadam and talk to all patients. Then once I remember, Swami said, those who do hospital service, hospital gati undadu. That means they need not face the hospital days. Then I thought, Swami said so, now I'm in this Gandhi Hospital, General Hospital, what is this? Then next day, believe it or not, the doctor comes and tells, anyway, you got to lie down on this particular posture, go home. Then I was taken home. There I knew what is mother's love. Till then, I used to take mother for granted. She used to weep with her tears in her eyes. She used to feed me. She used to think that, in those days, mothers are like that. She worried that I'll never be able to get up and walk. With that feeling, with that love, she used to feed me every day. And my brothers used to come and shave. And my friends used to come and read Sanatana Saradi. And all the relatives used to come and tell, so this fellow went to Puttaparthi, went to Sai Baba, he says he's God. This fellow broke his leg and came. But we knew that our faith never shakes. whatever difficulties, whatever problems we get, they're all sweet blessings in disguise. And those 3 months are really golden life in my period. I've given up every bad habit.